Alright, we are recording Chapter 11 of Star Trek V Final Frontier, and I might have a whole two highlights in here. It's... There's not much that really happens in it, and some what does happen, I find stupid. Well, no, I shouldn't say stupid. I should say lacking. Lacking is a better way to describe it. So basically, we are just following Sulu, who wakes up after the shuttle crashes. And he and Uhura are both brought to Cybok, and Cybok does his whole thing with them. Interestingly, though, he does not say, share your pain. Which, that might be, this is real. This could be real. This could be a real explanation. It might be because John had used that on him, and so he shared his pain with John. So it might be for that reason we won't see Cybok use the phrase again. At least not for a while. Perhaps when we get to him doing it to Spock and McCoy, not sure. But it could also, I could also believe they will wait until on Shakari, as sort of that moment with John broke him a little bit. Not really broke him, but it put him into a different place. And it's only then, it's like he has to continue the mission, and eventually he's going to come back to where he was with that whole thing of share your pain. By realizing how he was wrong the whole time. No idea what Uhura's secret pain is. We just see it from the outside. Sulu, though, we get to be inside his mind. And hang on, I gotta check. Is there? Okay, no. There's a whole two highlights I did in this. Because I mean, a lot of it is just that story, which is like, yeah, okay, fine. For secret pain, it's lousy. It's very lacking. But yeah. Excuse me. So according to this, San Francisco is his home. Except it's not. It's like it's been established. Sulu grew up in San Francisco. Except he didn't. He apparently grew up, at least from like preteen years, he's 11 at this point in his life, on a planet called Ganjutsu, which was a sparsely populated border planet in an area of space whose ownership was disputed by the Federation and the Klingon Empire. At first, the pirate attacks were rare and too remote from the tiny settlement of Ishikawa to be a real concern. When they first began occurring, Hikaru loved to listen to stories of the attacks. He thought it all very exciting. So, what else is mentioned here is that Ganjitsu was settled to be a completely conserved planet, which is stupid for a couple reasons here. One is you're a border planet. You're a contested planet. And you're not going to develop this so that it has the capacity to defend itself. You're literally living on the wrong side of town kind of thing. That's the situation here. And it's like, nah, we're not even going to bother having strong walls. Yeah, I got problems with that. The other is how it describes it sounds like even Rome was more advanced than what they're doing. And it's like, nah. I mean, I get conservation, don't get me wrong. But it's still, you can do some stuff here. You don't need to be completely hands-off. And even if you are completely hands-off, you can still bring in materials to build better buildings, more secure buildings. So, I mean, he describes it as though it's like they're just camping out. That's what it's like living there. It's like, what? What? I get the idea, but it's like, it's a border planet. And conservation does include the use of the resources. It does. Like, conservation also includes hunting, by the way. It's like, we actually do have this in the area because the deer population can get large enough that there will be, like, hunting season will in fact be larger than normal because, like, no, we have to hunt them. I mean, I'm not a hunter, but people in the area have to hunt them because we want the deer population under control. Because if it gets too large, then there isn't enough food for them, which means that they're weaker, and so they're more subjected to diseases and such, which is bad for the whole herd. So by actually hunting them to make sure that the population size is more manageable, but not below a certain level, no, don't go below that, then it makes sure that, okay, they have enough food to eat so they remain healthy. It's like, that is part of conservation. So, and so would be felling old dead trees that would really only be good for burning, in a fire. You take those down, you can use those for various purposes, assuming they're not rotten. Clearing out underbrush. Like, all these things are part of conservation and would give you greater resources. Also, if you're comfortable with because you can find places where, hey, there's just a whole bunch of stone here, let's quarry it. And that is not necessarily going to impact the environment much either. And it's like, you can do that and then build buildings. And it's just... it sounds really stupid. But anyway, they're getting hit by pirates. At least the planet is. Why is not really explained, since it's an undeveloped planet. So it's not like there's any resources you could really take, aside from what the settlers themselves are using, which is also something I'm going to complain about. That's actually what this next highlight is. I mean, in theory, it could be that the pirates are trying to just get them to abandon the planet so then the clans can take it. It's like, okay, but then Starfleet would have a presence here. And there's even one dude is in Sulu's memory complains about how the Federation doesn't do anything. That they say, oh, we'll solve it diplomatically. Yeah, well, we're here getting killed. That's that situation there. So, not a great one for them. Anyway, it just... you would have some stuff established here. But anyway, Hikaru and a friend, Kumiko, who's apparently Rigelian, anyway, and some Andorians live on this planet as well. But, it's just Sulu's family and the family that owns, like, the general store there, that it's described as this is the place that everyone gets their supplies at. I'm wondering how much supply, because how it's just being described here, I could almost believe that they have it in the bylaws of the planet, the planet scale HOA, you're not allowed to farm. I could almost believe that for how stupid it seems to be described, but in any case. They own the general store. And it's also the dude running it, the husband running it who was complaining. He's married. They're an older couple, by the way. And the Sulus are the only family, that's what I was trying to say, that are actually from Earth. Everyone else has been there so many generations. Or not from Earth, like his friend Kumiko is actually from Vigil. Anyway. On their way home from school, they always pass by there, and they'll stop in there to get supplies and such and bring them home. And also, the wife will typically give the kids candy. Well, this day, the pirates attack. And they actually attack there. So, it's not just stories that Sulu's hearing far off. And the building gets hit, even though it is one of the most secure and structurally sound buildings around. Part of it collapses. This collapse has debris fall on Sulu, Kumiko, and Mrs. Weissel, the nice old lady there. Mr. Weissel had already run towards where the shelter is, so he's at the trap door, so he's actually safe. He's in a different part of the building. When Sulu wakes up, Kumiko is there. They're figuring that out, and then where's Mrs. Weissel? Where's Mrs. Sulu looks around because he has a cut on his head, but it's otherwise fine. Kumiko actually has a broken ankle. But he manages to find where Mrs. Weissel is. Says she's over here. Mr. Weissel bolts over and lifts up a metal counter that had fallen on top of her immediately. And it's like, it even describes it as he's surprisingly strong for this. Considering his age, it's impressive that he was able to do that. And she is... how it fell struck her head such that she's bleeding there, and also describes her pupils were like pinpricks, so that's very bad. And Mr. Weissel's basically yelling at them, do something, get help. So Sulu runs. He's going to try to run home. Makes sense. But it turns out that the trees, the woods that he has to run through, they're on fire from the top down, because that's where the phasers hit. So it's like, okay, he's got to run around. He gets lost, but eventually he manages to make it home. His mom is there. They get in a skimmer, just a vehicle that allows them to go up over it all and get to the store, find them there, and see that basically everyone is more or less all right. I mean, yeah, broken ankle, but that's like the worst injury, except for Mrs. Weissel, who is dead, and this traumatizes Sulu. Okay, now before finishing up with okay, so that's the secret pain. Before getting into all that, his guilt over all that, and Cybok and my commentary on how that's stupid. Lacking is still probably a better word, but I'm also going to say stupid because, like, really, this is what you came up with for secret pain? There's this. So before he goes, he says to Kumiko, his friend, who's a few years older, stay here. If the pirates come back, try to get into the shelter. I'm going to get help. This is the store that is supplying everything everybody in the area. So it has supplies, it would have money, it would have all the resources you'd want to steal. It also, depending on the kind of pirates these are, has people, including 2 kids there. So if the pirates are looking to not just take things, but persons, that is the best spot to go. Instead, they decide we're going to attack and damage part of it so it collapses, impairing their ability to take anything, but even then they never actually visit it. At least there's no indication they do. These are not pirates. Because literally, all they came... They basically did a drive-by is what's being described here. That's not what pirates do. Okay, pirates would have preserved that place, come in, fired around, come in, and just start stealing stuff. And yeah, kill anyone that gets in their way. But they're not just gonna, hey, let's shoot up that building and then leave. It's like, no, let's shoot up the building and take something so it's worth our time being here. What the heck is this story? So yeah, I don't like that. But anyway. So we got Sulu. His secret pain is his guilt because he ran to get help and she died anyway. And it's like, okay, he was 11. He would be now what? Spock should be around 43 at the moment. So Sulu, let's say he's not going to be that old. He's not going to be as old as Spock and Kirk. It's not that generation. He's a little bit younger. So let's say 36. So he's 25. This is 25 years ago. Let's just say it's that. I'm trying to figure out how within 25 days, his parents, and even Mr. Weissel would not have sat him down and made sure he understands. Because he should be showing signs of guilt and regret here that, no, Hikaru, you did everything you could. It was very brave of you to do what you did. But I wasn't fast enough. You never could have been fast enough. Hikaru, you did your best. But no one's best would have saved her. That injury she took, it was fatal. The doctor could have been right there, would still not have been able to save her life. Okay, they should have done that. Because he did. It even mentions that's the first time he saw death. First time he saw death was her. So this is not good. I mean, it's not a good way for a child to experience death, but it's what happened. But it still is. I'm just seeing it as he should have had multiple people, his parents, Mr. Weissel, maybe also some professional therapists, help him process that and understand that you did your best. And it wasn't good enough. That is somehow how it goes, but it's still, no one's best would have saved her. He should not have been able to hold on to this for, I'm assuming, about 25 years. He shouldn't have been able to hold on to it like that. That it is, in my opinion, nonsense. And very lacking, where it's like, I'm sorry, I can't even imagine a parent not sitting down with Mr. Weissel, with Kumiko, finding out everything that happened, sitting down with Hikaru, finding everything that happened, and then talking it all through. Getting through all that to make sure he's in a good place. The whole thing, I mean, that's technically what Cybok is doing, where he's trying to get into these things where somebody feels guilty and they're not sharing it, and now by sharing it with him, it absolves them of that. It's sort of a confession to him. It's like, I get that, but this is something that there's nothing secret to it. How did no one take care of this already? I don't understand that. That is nonsensical to me. But it's also, and I've mentioned this in other things before, I don't remember if on this channel. I will just add this. This may sound dark, might sound cold, but it's also kind of true. In my opinion, and don't get me wrong, pets dying sucks. It does. Alright, we've had several pets in my lifetime. They've died. Never been fun. Even the ones I didn't necessarily care much for. Still sucks. However, there's a great thing about pets. When they die, they're not people dying. I know, this sounds cold, this sounds horrible, but there is that, like, in my mind, I'm already like, if I'm ever so fortunate as to have kids, I'm making sure I have pets. Okay? Maybe some of them can be like turtles, where these things will outlive us. Depending on the breed of turtle, that's true. But others will be like dogs and cats, where it's like, by 11, you know what? Depending on when we got the dog or cat, probably a dog, I don't care much for cats. But depending on when we got the dog, you might see it die. But you know what? It sucks, because it is a part of the family. But it is not a person. So it's like that. It sounds weird. I understand it, but it's so that you to teach children about death. Pets make sense, because you expect them to die before a human relative does. Hopefully. Because that way it can be a little easier to work through. It's still a family-like connection, but it is a family-like connection because it's a pet, not a person. So, yeah, it's just... Yes, my mind had... The reason why my mind had to think on that one, by the way, is because of a video game I played and reviewed a while ago. And just how... It was the Talos Principle 2, and there's this one robot there that is centuries old, but he hates the fact that he has cats as pets and they keep dying on him. It's like, dude, that's literally part of owning a pet, is them dying. Why are you complaining to me like, oh no, this is some sort of existential problem and is why we have to cut ourselves off from nature? What are you talking about? Death is part of nature, and a pet's death is part of pet ownership. If you don't understand that, you shouldn't own pets. It's that. I got so many issues with the story of that game. It is not funny. I really got pissed at that game. That story is lousy. Talos Principle 1, I love that story. That is great. I've said it before in those videos, not here, I think. The purpose of a video game story is to motivate the player to continue playing. Right? That is its purpose. Fundamentally, that is it. So there's that level where that's always satisfying. But then there's some games where it goes much above, where it's like, no, I want to experience the story. Talos Principle is so good that it wasn't even just the main story. I wanted to spend time with Milton. He was that side character that was so interesting. I really enjoyed the debates and the arguments with them. I found those fascinating. So I'm trying to finish the game because of a side character. I loved it. It was awesome. So yeah, Talos Principle 2 story not even close to that level of quality. Really annoying. Kind of like how this is. Well, I mean, it's on the level of quality of some of the other movies. Might be matching about that of the actual Final Frontier movie, though. Have to think on that one. It's also been a while since I watched it, but regardless. Yeah, I'm just... I get the ideas here, but I just feel like you're holding them up much higher in here than they should be. Hence why they are lacking. Because it's like, this is not... Like, I understand this. You know, it could also be I'm too used to analyzing various stories and reading various stories where it's like, yeah, this is the best trauma you got. All right. I mean, it's like, do you want me to pull something out? Do you want me to grab a book that has better trauma in it than this? It's like, I can do that. Do you want me to tell you a story of my own? Like, not necessarily a personal story, but, a story that I either have written or will write, where it's like, I've thought through all that trauma there. Do you want me to tell you about that and how that's better than this? I mean, Chapter 12 is next. Give me just a moment. I actually am curious what this shows at the... Okay, so we are now with the trio in the brig. Oh, and one other thing. It's like, so because Sulu is free of this guilt now, he's like, I will do anything you want for Cybok. And it's like, no, that's not how this should be working. But one thing that is possible, though, is Cybok is using these memories to dig deeper into people's minds and then hypnotizing them, as has been described before. That he's actually more forcefully taking control of them to serve him. He's just using this as an avenue of attack because it's something that they may not be as capable of keeping out. Because it could also be a like they want to confess this, and so he's taking advantage of that to get in there, and then you're mine, kind of thing. But yeah, we'll also admit I would have liked to have known what Uhura's secret pain is. Just, I mean, she's a very interesting character, so I am curious what it would be. But then maybe that's also why it's not told, because we want to keep her interesting. Whereas Sulu is a little less interesting. Well, no, he's not. Sulu's not less interesting from this because it's too stupid. It's like it's so lacking. It's like, nah. This just makes me not like the story. It doesn't impact at all what I feel or think about Sulu. So yeah. Anyway, see you next time.